Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, Jordan, Iran and Iraq were in attendance, along with Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Well, let's speak now to Mohamed Taha from BBC Arabic. Mohamed, very good to have you with us. What's the latest you can tell us?
Well, Helena, now most of the reports that are coming from Syria, from many news agencies, are confirming that now the opposition are inside the capital Damascus. There are some people, heard some firing arms inside Damascus. We are not sure if this firing are fighting or just celebration of them arriving. Damascus reports that they managed to get to Sidnaya prison as part of the outer Damascus, and that they freed some prisoners from there. There are reports that some government troops are fleeing. There are reports about that the opposition are besieging Damascus airport. So these are the reports that we cannot be 100% sure what are right or not, but these are the reports that are coming from many, more one source that are reporting this news from Damascus at the moment.
As you say, Mohamed, it is an evolving situation, but of course we are seeing multiple reports now of that situation in Damascus, including, as you were saying there, reports from some residents of gunfire. I do also want to ask you about President Bashar al-Assad. Is there any more news about the potential of his whereabouts, or is that still very much a question mark?
Yeah, it's a very big historical moment for Syria after many years of these efforts of the opposition to topple al-Assad government and al-Assad rule. It's a massive moment after many leaders in the region faced the same situation previously. As we can see, as we saw what happened in Tunisia, in Egypt, in Sudan, in Yemen, in Iraq, and other countries in the last years. As Lise Doucet said in an earlier bulletin, that she knew that the Assad family are now in UAE. Al-Assad himself, we heard lots of reports earlier last day that he might be in Russia or he might be in other countries. But we didn't have any confirmation about that. We had reports coming from Damascus saying that he is still in Damascus, leading the army there. But as the opposition now entered the capital, we will know for sure within the coming hours if this opposition would go to his residence or the presidential palace or other key facilities like the Ministry of Defense or so on and so forth. It looks like what happened in Damascus is similar to what happened in Aleppo. Very easy entering of the opposition troops into Aleppo, then very easy entering into Hama, they're very easy entering into Homs, and now into Damascus from the north and from the south at the same time. We do not know, we do not have any confirmation at the moment as we speak whereabouts al-Assad is, but in the coming few hours, it's a very, very serious developing situation in the Middle East, and, you know, it's a very historical moment as well.
I mean, no matter how people in Syria feel about this, and of course we know about the opposition for a very long time, from the Arab Spring, the uprising in 2012 and so on. Nevertheless, whatever happens here, and if this is the beginning of the end of the al-Assad regime, which has been in power, that dynasty, since 1971, this must be a pretty uncertain moment, one would imagine, for Syrians about what will happen in the coming hours and days. Do we have a clearer idea about how civilians, for example, in Damascus, feel about HTS?
Yeah, what we can see from pictures, it's a mixed feeling moment, as you said. It's an uncertain moment. So at the time where there are many people in Syria suffered during the war from what they considered as oppression from the Syrian government, as they managed to crack down hardly on the areas that the opposition were controlling or fighting. We heard lots of reports about shelling, about lots of areas, residential areas that were bombed. Lots of people were killed. Lots of people were put in prison. We heard a lot of this news. There are lots of atrocities between the Al-Assad government and Al-Assad army and the opposition and the people who supported the opposition, and they called it the revolution, and they still call it the revolution. So we saw pictures that are coming that were confirmed and verified by BBC Arabic, that many people are happy, many people are celebrating, many people are welcoming the change. But yes, as you said, it is an uncertain moment because this militant opposition, some of them were part of Daesh, the previous what's so-called Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. Some of them were part of Al-Nusra, which is a group that was affiliated with Al-Qaeda. But we saw recently Mohamed al-Julani, the leader of this movement, the leader of these troops, appearing on other media in an interview. He looked like he's a statesman, he's assuring everyone. And we didn't hear when they entered Aleppo that they did any revenge or any atrocities. We didn't see them doing the same when they entered Hama or Homs. We didn't see until now any extremism or any revenge, if I would say, after all of these years of what they faced. But still uncertainty after the Islamists in the region were a little bit not on the forefront after the collapse of the rule of Mohamed Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhoods in Egypt, and also what happened, the decline of Al-Nahda in Tunisia. After all the Islamists were declined in the region, so when we see another troops that are perceived to be will rule parts of Syria again, and the coming back of Islamists, it is definitely a historical point for Syria, uncertain point for Syria, and a mixed feeling for the Syrians who faced lots of situations, and they want to carry on a peaceful life.
Well, Mohamed, talking about that uncertainty, we've also heard from the UN envoy on Syria today saying that negotiations are still possible, saying that they must happen to stop further chaos or bloodshed. We've also heard comments as well today from Russia, of course, one of the Assad regime's key allies, saying that they maintain that support. So is there the possibility here that something else could still happen, that we could see more strikes, for example, from Russia, or, for example, we could see a negotiated end to this? Surely there are multiple possibilities now.
Well, I'm not sure if the Russians mean political support or military support. On the military side, we cannot see in the ground that strong defend from Russia defend of the Assad regime, as we saw before the Ukraine war started, or before stopping the fighting started 5 years ago. We do not see that fight. We see the opposition goes to these cities like Aleppo, like Hama, like Homs, and now in Damascus without fighting. So we didn't hear. Russia started striking some of the opposition stronghold when the fighting started, but when this opposition took the momentum and started to take city by city, I think we heard reports that some of the Russian ships that are in Tartus left and redeployed somewhere else, and some of their air defenses somewhere else that are responsible for AS-300 and AS-400. They were deployed somewhere else. So I'm not 100% sure if Russia is really willing to defend the Assad government militarily. But what we can see, there is definitely the political momentum. They are participating in the Doha talks. They are participating, they are talking all the time with Iran and Turkey, and they are willing that the situation, that situation in Syria wouldn't fall into a chaos, and they would find a situation in Syria where there is some compromise, some peaceful solution somehow, because now we can see that the Syrian territories are now split by many forces. The Assad, the Kurds in the north. Now HTS is massively controlling and apparently would control very soon the Damascus. And we have also other troops that are affiliated to Turkey in different areas. We heard the news that Hezbollah also sent some troops to a city or two around Damascus to have some presence there. We are not sure what's the situation of the Iranian troops, as now also we cannot see defend from the Iranian side of the Al-Assad government. We cannot see fighting as they were doing before from the Revolutionary Guard. So I'm not 100% sure if Russia is putting its weight, its militarily weight behind Al-Assad government. They are really busy with the Ukrainian war,
Indeed.
as Hezbollah is really busy with the war with Israel.
And one last question, briefly, if you don't mind, Mohamed. Whenever you have a situation like this and there is the potential for a political vacuum, there are actors who can look to exploit that as well. This is something that is seeing many factions. Are there also concerns about a political vacuum and groups who could exploit that?
Yeah, that's why there are many countries are meeting at Doha in the Doha Forum. There are 8 countries issued a statement that this shouldn't happen. Some of them are Russia, Iran, Turkey, Egypt, Qatar. So many countries are really putting momentum behind not to have that vacuum in power in Syria, because Syria is a very important country. It's bordering Israel, it is bordering Lebanon, it is bordering Iraq also, and it's bordering Turkey. The geopolitical situation of Turkey is very important, and it's very important not to fall into a chaos. However, when we saw this happening in different other countries, there had been a chaos in Libya, and there is a chaos in Yemen. Iraq lived in a chaos for a long time. So we cannot avoid that this might happen. This will be down to what extent there is a will from the countries that are having a stake into this, and the United States is having a growing stake at the moment in Syria. To what extent all of these countries would work together not to make this chaos happen, Helena.
Mohamed Taha, reporter there from BBC Arabic. Mohamed, always appreciate your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, just to let you know, of course, you can follow that developing situation with our BBC